Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to the final review of the Takedown Troupe of 2025, your weekly TNA review show here at BC WrestlePod. And we have the trifecta of the trio here tonight, and I'm excited to get into this. But of course, my name is Mikey, El Jefe of BC WrestlePod, running the ones and twos and keeping all of us in line, or at least trying to, at least. And so joining me this evening, of course, is Papa Oso, who is here once again, who we had a really great time watching this thing together and just messaging and texting each other our thoughts. It was a fun watch along on our own terms. And then, of course, rounding out our trio tonight is Radio Free Will. Our like copyright. No, just kidding. We don't have Tony Khan money, so oh my goodness, but I'm super excited. This is going to be our final post-show breakdown for TNA this year, but don't fear because we will be back in 2026 after the holidays. But before we get into the review proper, a quick bit of the announcements. If you like what you see here, you can dig more into our archives. It's the things that we have done this year because trust me, we have covered a lot of stuff. We have done a lot of things. It's been a really fantastic year. So feel free to dig into the archives. And if you want to stick around and get notified when we, go live with these things, then you can subscribe to the YouTube or follow us on Twitch or Kick, whatever platform you prefer. If you're looking for something more manageable, but still want to be able to interact with us, then maybe the social media place is for you because that is where we report, have our report cards, our previews of the show. So we do predictions and it's a great time and it's more manageable, especially for those who don't have the time to watch our videos. We also have merchandise available at our shop, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. Link in the description of all the videos below to find that information. And if you feel so inclined to help us keep the metaphorical lights on, our little coffee bot will be popping up in the chat throughout the review. And feel free if you want to donate, but it is not mandatory because we know that during these economic times, it is tough out here, especially during the holiday season. So only if you feel comfortable and are okay with doing so, please do. But if not, we're happy you're here anyways. All right, now that's out of the way, let's get into this. So I want to begin by stating, and this was something that I told Papa after we were done watching. I was just like, because usually TNA episodes are usually an hour and a half, hour and 45 sometimes, especially if we're watching on the app of TNA Plus. And by the end of it, I was just like, wow, that episode kind of flew by. And I'm not as mad as I normally am or frustrated. So I was like, this is a pretty solid episode. Now, I do have questions though, TNA, like I always do. And we're going to be talking about it as we go throughout the episode that I'm going to keep bringing up. But my question of the night is, this was not a bad episode. This was actually some effort. So why did it take a month and a half of us dicking around to finally get? I was like, regardless of the reason, I was just like, normally I would be cynical about it, but I was like, you know what, TNA, I'm gonna give you props because this is a pretty solid episode and I had fun.
It's like it's like payday. On payday, you go out to the good place for lunch, you get the good sandwich. But you've also had, a few months of those last couple of days before payday when you're counting how many cold cuts are left in the thing and going, how many sandwiches can I get out of this? This is the payday meal, so it's...
Yeah, so...
They've got the payday now,
They really do. And you know what? I was like, I will take it because that means if we can actually get solid TV, actual progression, some effort, I'm like, we're a good company. I also felt like, Papa, specifically you, I felt like we said this last year too, like around this time period last year, the stint in the fall leading into the end of the year last year was also a drag.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe it's just because all the year, all the shit from the year is gone and now they're just sort of like sailing. Maybe that's what it is. Who knows?
Very true. So let's just get into it proper because we spent the first, let's say, we'll divide the show into fourths because there was including the 3 matches and our concert, we could divide this episode into fourths. So let's start with the first fourth of the episode, which was given to the TNA World Championship #1 contenders battle royale. So this is 20 individuals. So looking at this picture right here, of course, we had there are some folks on here that were part of the Explosion tapings. So, like the equivalent to the Feds main or like Heat and all that good stuff. And of course, we have pretty much the entirety of the men's roster that is not involved in the steel cage match later in the episode. So, of course, you have Rich Homie Swan. You have 3 out of the 4 Rascals. So, you have Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, Myron Reed, Hometown Man, Jake something. You have his kid in this thing too, because he was there for the explosion tapings. You have Sinner and Saint. You have, one half of the Great Hands, Mance, Ryan Nemeth, BDE, Moose, both Anderson, Cedric Alexander, Bear Bronson. And so I was just like, I wonder who is going out first. Now, I'm not going to lie. There are certain people in here I was very surprised to see last longer than I thought they would. And there were some pretty cool moments. Myron Reed, TNA, y'all need to lock these kids down. Like, lock the Rascals down. Because I'm like, they have been probably some of the funnest bits in the last month and a half, 2 months, since Victory Road, to be completely honest with you.
Agreed.
Side of it. So it's like lock them into these deals, or at least get them to do the short-term deals for the next 3 months. So but who knows? I was also really happy to see Sinner and Saint last a lot longer than I thought they were going to, because they've kind of been lost in the shuffle since leaving Eric Young. But there was a couple of moments in here that I love, like Myron doing the flame on as he like the cutter over the top rope and then being caught by Zachary and Trey.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. There was one thing in here that I actually really appreciated. I just wish that the announce team had actually been able to call it out, was Sinner and Saint getting their pound of flesh against Eric Young.
Yes, I was going to say, I was like, they were beating his ass in part of this match and saying nothing about it. I was like, boys, get it together. I was just like, we kind of just left that story off the line after they just got away from him.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm kind of okay with it because I was getting sick and tired of that whole thing anyway.
Oh, sure.
So the less they said about it, the better from my part of it. Although it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Ironically, Eric Young probably had one of the funnier moments in this match towards the tail end, which we'll get into. But yeah, 20 bodies in the ring. It is a battle royal. Last man standing gets this TNA World Championship match, which is happening in 2 weeks. Oh, no, not 2 weeks. In 3 weeks. It's happening in January because we're going to be taking the holidays off. No, actually 2 weeks. My bad. 2 weeks, not 3. I'm like, no more clip shows. No, so that match is going to be happening in a week. So the other moment that I really, really enjoyed, and I don't know if TNA will ever do it, depending on, if they sign this man. But when we got the face off with Jake and Bear, I was just like, this is what I want.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, yep, 2 bears.
So I was like, I don't know when in the tapings y'all taped this, but this was fantastic. So Ryan Nemeth goes over the top rope. We get a final battle between Eric Young and Bear Bronson. Bear Bronson goes over, but he catches himself. And then Eric Young had the funniest moment for me in this entire match, where not once, but twice, he was celebrating because he thought he won, until the realization set in that, Bear didn't hit the floor. So then Bear and Eric fight on the apron. Bear is able to eliminate Eric Young which I was like, oh God, I think Eric Young died. The way that he sold it. And your winner and number 1 contender for the TNA World Championship, hot on the independent scene, Mr. Bear Bronson. So I was just like, claps.
Yeah, 100%. I was very it was a bit of a clusterfuck all around, but I'm very pleased with how it ended. That definitely, that was my take on it. And I love seeing new guys get the rub like this,
I was just like, utilize all the people you brought in for Explosion and one-offs too during these double tapings. Because these are tapings that happen on Saturday and Sunday after Final Resolution. So love to see everybody in here. So this is going to be kind of fun. And it was at this point, I was just like, oh, TNA actually picked someone I like to win. I was just like, there's a change in the energy this episode. We'll see if it continues.
Yeah, honestly, the whole time I was here going it's going to be Moose or EY. That's all there is to it.
Same. I thought I was just like, well, it's going to be one of these two, and I was very happy it wasn't.
The wind blowing in from the east.
And his name is Bear Bronson. Anyways, so Bear Wind. We love Bear Wind. Okay, so after this match, we get this promo from our NXT team in this cage match. Wasn't corny? Yes, at the end. But I'm like, this is the energy I need.
Oh my God, you're not kidding.
Screenshot though.
Santino, I know everyone else is being all tough and menacing and stuff, but buddy, it's okay. You're Santino Marella. You can just do Santino Marella things and you'll be fine.
Well, I will agree. It was a little hard for me to swallow Santino.
If they could get him to take a weekend off of TNA and head up to Canada for a weekend of mystery wrestling, he would have a blast. But it was just we're all We're
Yeah.
gonna be tough. You're getting in there with some dogs. And Santino's just like, yes, the dog. I am the dogs.
Yeah, I know. I was like, "Oh, Santino, I love you, but no."
Yeah, but the other 4, I was like, "You know what? Works for y'all." Of course, Mike
Mhm.
Santana is leading the charge. I was just like, "I know I cover NXT, and I actually like the talent over there too," but it's like, "Yeah, send the B squad of NXT and Evolve back to where they belong."
Indeed.
I was like, "I'm mad that it took us a month and a half to get here, but hey, we got here, so at least we got here." Though, Matthew, we gonna talk about you because you didn't even you did not contribute to the cage match, but that's because you were kidnapped by the righteous, which we're gonna talk about at the end of the show. I was like, "Okay, I believe all of you." I love Santino. I was just like,
It's okay, buddy. They're there.
Yeah, all right. Good.
Santino is that one friend in the group. It's like, we know that when things go down, you're probably not going to fight, but honestly, it is the uncertainty and the craziness that
Like-
you bring that it's 50-50.
Everyone else here is bringing Chuck D. We needed Flava Flav. Okay.
He's the yeah guy, you know, it's like, "We're
He
gonna
really
whoop your
is.
ass." "Yeah! We're
Santino
gonna throw
is
you
the hype
against the
man.
wall." "Yeah!" That's Santino.
He-
He's the yeah guy.
Santino,
Thank-
I want Santino to be my hype man.
Thank you for being the little John to this entire stable's yin yang twins.
Oh my gosh. Love it. Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
Love it.
Real quick, before
I'm sorry.
we move on to the, because there was I think this was the part that they brought up on the show. They brought up PW Insider, right? No, like, because Mike Santana's, on the cover of PW Insider, and so were the Hardys, and they brought up that both Pro Wrestling Insider. This is something that I would love both of your guys' takes on, and just sort of as we get to the end of the year and just sort of wrestling as a whole, sort of taking a step back and looking at the wrestling landscape, right? PW Insider named the Hardys the tag team of the year. And I mean, they also, the commentary also mentioned that a Busted Open Radio also did that. I don't really count that because that's Bully Ray's podcast and he's a corporate shill to whoever's signing a check for him, But PW Insider, slightly more respect on that. And I'm sitting here like, really, the Hardys as tag team of the year? And like in my head, I'm going through like some of the other tag teams that have been prominent this year. And I'm like, the Hardys over Brodito or the Outrunners or the Timeless Love Bombs. Like, and I'm even saying, like, I would even begrudgingly say that the Rascals had a better year than the Hardys.
That's all we could taste.
Sure.
And the others are sort of more like underlying flavors, but the top of the thing is the Hardy. They've just been sprinkling everything with them.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. I totally agree.
Yeah.
It is like, oh,
like, because
okay.
here's the thing too. Like, because I looked up I did a quick Google today because I was thinking about the age of people in wrestling right now. Matt Hardy is 51. Not like he's not ancient, but I mean he's definitely older than most people in the industry, right?
He's only 3 years old younger than I am.
But but here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Because I also looked up the age of Ric Flair. Now, currently, Ric Flair is 76. But 20 years ago, 2005, when he was in WWE, he was at the age where everyone was like, "It's okay, Rick, time to hang it. You've had enough time there, Rick." And Matt is that age right now. So like, it strikes me as like, and I mean, I know it's two very different people in terms of like how their performance style. Ric Flair was never much of a high flyer. He was always more that sort of dirtiest player in the game. So his moves were not nearly as athletic either of the Hardys. But it's the slowing down and like, I mean, I've been very open about my opinion of the Hardys right now. It's like, God, it's okay, guys. It's time to hang it. It is okay. You have nothing to prove. Two of the best tag team wrestlers in the history of the industry. And it's okay. Joe, you can let somebody else take it now.
And that's funny that you say that. And I agree with you. But I think when the Hardys were brought back into it, they were brought back into it as sort of like, it almost felt like a sympathy give. Like, oh, hey, here are these vets, coming back in. Let's give them something. And then when we gave it to them, they took and ran with it.
Okay.
Which I think is what everybody has kind of gotten onto that train because they take it and they own it.
Sure.
And I'm like, because that's what got me. I was like, oh, here are these guys. They're come back. They're probably, they're slower than most. But man, they'll take it. Man, they'll jump through a damn ladder and a table and they'll jump from 20 feet in the air. I mean, they'll do it. And I'm here for it. I will watch that shit till the end of days. And I think that's what they're living on. Now, I agree that they're going to get to a point where you go through that table and you've just dislodged a hip. I
Right.
mean, we're getting there, and you can tell they are starting to slow down. That the impact is starting to have a excuse the pun
Yeah.
is truly having its way with them right now, and
Well,
because even I've noticed it that they've been kind of
most obvious examples of that to me is when they do poetry in motion now. Like, because when they do like Matt still, gets down on all fours for the springboard thing, but Jeff never goes into that like heel kick that he used to do, like a splash. It's just kind of
I think we're going to see them retiring soon.
sure. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think they're gonna go out with a bang, and maybe that's what they're setting up with this whole righteous thing. I don't know, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think I think they're gonna be going soon,
Sure.
sooner than we probably think they were.
Yeah.
Oh, since radio, you brought up the PWI tag team list for this year. So I do have the top 10 teams. So this is ranging from all professional wrestling, and this also includes women's tag teams too. So without getting into too much of a discussion, the top 10 tag teams this year are the Saito brothers, which are from AJPW, so Japanese wrestling. Number 9, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Number 8, Sky Team. So I'm assuming any form of the 3 members of Sky Team, whether that's Mystical, Nail, and Mascara Dorada. 7 is Rodito. 6 is Nathan Frazier
Yep.
and Axiom.
That track.
Yeah, so number 5 is the Street Profits. 4 is Manos Chavez, so Roja and CMLL, who've been holding it down, who are now also not only CMLL tag champs, but they just gained the New Japan Strong titles too last month. Number 3 is Wing Gori, which is a tag team in Stardom, and those girls are fantastic. Number 2 is the Hurt Syndicate, which is Bobby Lashley and Shelton
okay.
Benjamin, and then of course 1 is the Hardys.
Poor Outrunners didn't even make the top 10. That's bullshit.
Hopefully, we need more of them and Dalton Castle on my screen.
Oh yes, 100%.
So hopefully in 2026 that'll be changed. But yeah, so that is the list. All to say is that the Hardys plus Lind, Santana, and Santino are ready for this cage match. I was like, I need this energy in all my promos. What are we doing? So here's this. I'm biased, right? Because I'm a big Bear Bronson fan. Even since Ring of Honor and AEW, and I've been following him on the Independents and GCW and all the other places he's popping up. Shout out to him and his wife, Nomi the Bard, because they are both great. Gabby Forza is also fantastic in her own right. So I'm biased. I like Bear in general. However, what I appreciate about this promo, especially for those who may not be following the Independents, we got a taste of, Bear's journey so far. I mean, he's been grinding on the Independents recently. He shows off his deathmatch scars, which I was like, ooh, cool, kinky. But no, what I liked about this promo is that not only did it have the energy and the passion that I want from a lot of people, we got a little bit of a taste, be like, okay, this is who Bear Bronson is. This is what he stands about. And he also addressed Franklin. And I was like, anybody tearing down Franklin automatically gets a win in my book. So I like this. I like Bear. I really, really do.
Also a moment in here where the linguist nerd in me enjoyed, because they called him a berserker. And just as a languager, the term berserker comes from the Viking culture where they would wear the pelt of a bear going into battle. Berserker literally means bear shirt.
I was like, ugh.
I love, because you focus on the wrestler, you focus on them, what they're saying about what they're about to do, and all of that, and he's showing off all of his stuff, and it's I literally was sitting there and I was thinking, gosh, this feels so like 80s style back in the 80s when I used to go with my dad, and the wrestlers would sit there and just go, and it was like this felt so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
This was shades of like, Macho Man, like just have Mean Gene hold the mic out for Macho Man and let him go,
Let him go,
or like and I mean, maybe because Gia wasn't like in the camera shot, it would like, to me, it reminded me more of like Mick Foley's anti-hardcore promo, or like any of the ones that Austin did when he was in ECW, that kind of thing. It was that. Yeah. It's very cool to see that bringing that into it. It's something that's been missing from, I'm not sure it's been missing from wrestling as a whole, because I feel like they still do that a fair, I mean, from what I recall, they do that a fair bit in AEW. I haven't been able to really keep up with AEW a lot lately, but it's certainly missing from WWE.
No, you're absolutely right. I think AEW has gotten better with it. I think the reason I also really like this too is because I felt like this year in general, this felt more hey, just give him the mic and just let him go.
Yeah.
It feels less manufactured, if that makes more sense.
Felt less scripted
Yes, there you go.
Yep.
and more
Less
natural,
manufactured.
like from the heart, which I
Mhm.
love.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it when they just let a wrestler go and talk that like this, not when they're out there, basically reading from a script, which drives me nuts.
In some
What-
cases, reading from their hand.
It's one of the reasons we all love Eddie Kingston. It's
Eddie just, I was just like, Eddie is next level. He's just like, he doesn't have to talk for long.
like
He's just
script.
like,
It's like he doesn't know the definition of the word.
He is
It's
literally just Uncle
what
out
the
there
fuck
cutting
is
a
a
promo.
script?
It's like Eddie Kingston is Unc, and he just goes on. So I love it. So, Bear is ready to fight Frankie in 2 weeks for the TNA World Championships. Is he going to win? Probably not, but I really, really do enjoy the journey that we are going on so well. We're going to talk about you, Franklin, because I got mad at you, and I will read my message that I wrote to you, Papa. It's just like, oh, hell no. If only we can show the text messages on this screen, because we were having a hoot last night. We're going to move on from Bear Bronson, though, because we get into our second match of the evening, which was also pretty solid. I was
Oh,
kind of
God.
happy about it. We get the Angel Warriors, which is, of course, our TNA Knockouts World Champion, Leia Brookside, taking on Tessa Blanchard and Mila Moore of the Diamond Collective, which is apparently what we're calling those two, plus Victoria and Robert Stone. I'm like, Robert Stone, didn't Mike Santana beat your ass like 2 weeks ago? Like, why would you? But it is what it is. First and foremost, and I will always say this, and you get bonus points from me, I love it when tag teams actually have matching ring gear. I was just like,
Yeah.
if you are a tag team, get matching ring gear or have the same color scheme. Angel Warriors coming out in blue and gold. I was just like, those two colors just work. And I loved it. So fantastic. And so Tessa and Mila come out in their stuff. Mila is wearing like shiny stuff. Tessa's wearing her typical stuff. But I was just like, it feels more like two people thrown together, but you know what? We'll take it. And then as far as the match goes, I actually really thought it was pretty solid. I was just like, I will never get over Liang Lee's presentation when she makes her entrance down the ring. I was like, this is presentation that I can get behind. Love me some good old martial arts. And you know what? I know I've been criticizing Zaya Brookside the last month and a half where he needs to clean it up a little bit, but I still enjoy her. I think that this is probably the cleanest we said. And this was one of the few matches. Well, I think this was the only match, according to my notes, unless I forgot to take them, where the crowd actually said this was awesome. I was just like, hell yeah. I was like, so the crowd was into this one. So that was fun.
I thought this match was freaking amazing. I love it because the more and more I watch her, the more and more I absolutely I have fallen in love with Lian Lee. And of course, I've always loved Zaya Brookside, but watching them work together like this was so incredible. If I was a young woman or a young girl, I would be like, I want to be like them when I grow up, because they were like supportive of each other. They like worked well together. They were concerned for each other during the match, not necessarily in and outside the match, but like in the match. They were like on each other. They were like, okay, let's do this. Let's make it happen. I didn't like hate Tessa Blanchard in this match. I actually enjoyed watching her work, and I was like, okay, all right. But overall, I loved it. Yeah, the whole thing, that was,
We'll get into that in a little bit.
that was something else.
I mean, this match got a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Because
That's-
freaking was.
honestly, I think that's the first time I've heard that in TNA. Like in the last few months of me watching it. Yeah, that's the first "This is awesome" chant. And yeah, they earned it.
Yeah. And I was just like, again, I don't know whether this was Saturday or Sunday's taping, but shout out to the Texas crowd for this one. I was like, you guys were actually pretty good. Not even for Final Resolution, you guys were pretty good, crowd. I was just like, y'all suck. Because the crowds that we've gotten so far this year are either like, you're not reacting enough, or all right, settle down. Y'all are getting too out of hand. I was like, calm down. But again, the Angel Warriors pick up the victory here. Later in the show, because I didn't include a picture here, but later in the show, we would get Robert Stone with the Diamond Collective cutting the promo. And I'm just like, I don't like the optics of this, but hey, you know what? The Diamond Collective is officially a faction, which includes Tessa, Mila, and Victoria. I did get a kick out of it, though, because, they're talking about Mila and Tessa being like fantastic wrestlers. Mr. Stone, Robert gets to Victoria. It's just like, Victoria,
And
you're
Peggy.
great. And Victoria is just there. She's just, again, she is the friend that she's like, yeah, she is the hype person.
She's the Peggy Schuyler of it, It's-
Oh, jeez. But yeah, the optics were a little weird. I was just like, Robert Stone, you got your ass handed to you 2 weeks ago. What gives you the credentials to kind of be the hype person for these three. I was like, no.
Here's the thing about it, and this is what I'll say, and I won't say anymore. But because optics are very important, I believe. And this felt less like a hype man and more like an abusive husband. And I'm like, because he wasn't inspiring them. He was scalding them.
Yeah,
It
was dance mom energy.
was gross, is what it was.
Moms.
I was just like, I was like, oh my God.
Oh God, it was giving toddlers and tiaras too. Oh, why would
Yeah.
you do that to me?
It wasn't a pep talk. It wasn't, you guys are amazing. When you're trying to build somebody up, even if they're heels, you got to be like, hey, you know what? You guys are the best fucking bitches out here. You guys need to go out there and you need to show them how fucking amazing you are. Not like degrade them like he was doing. And I was like, dude, get the fuck out of here. And then when Tessa takes over and she's like, yeah, you're right. I'm like,
Yeah. Robert, you need to leave.
find a purpose, dude.
It's like he's a hot mess right now here in TNA too, but that's not what we're here to cover. All right, but let's keep this going though, because Dani Luna was watching this match backstage. Of course, she got busted upside the head during her dog collar match last week against Indy Hartwell, and so essentially, my dreams and my prayers are being answered because it seems that we're setting up Liang Li and Dani Luna coming near to us. Please let it be a Genesis. So. But I was just like, oh, Dani Luna, you are my 23-year-old power babe. I love you. So she lays down the challenge for Liang Li to, put that title up on the line. And she, wants to fight her. And Liang Li would come out, later, which is next. And she answers the question where she's like, she pretty much accepts Dani's challenge and she'll fight her anytime, anywhere. So I'm like, all right, TNA, give us like one more week and then give me the official graphic for Genesis.
So this whole like series of promos here, I thoroughly enjoyed it because you know me, my AEW fan sicko at heart. See, like I was not able to watch the dog collar match, but just some of the clips that I saw of it. Yeah, no, it made my sicko heart proud, And
Dani and Indy killed it in that one. I was just like, and it made it vented too. I was like, that's crazy.
But it's like, and it's. There's a part of me sitting here going like, Dani, like, Tony, give this girl a call, okay? Like, let her, like, Dani and Tony Storm, that would bring the friggin' house down. But, no, but, like, between that and this, especially with Liang Li ending it with anytime, anywhere, bitch, and it's like, what, he's stealing Okada's bitches now?
I love it. And I was just like, again, it took us a month and a half of dicking around, but we're actually getting build up to stories and feuds and progression of things. I was just like, God, TNA, I love you and I hate you at the same time sometimes. But I also felt like this is how it was last year too. We dicked around last year towards the end of the year, then things got better.
And let's see how many of these plot threads actually follow through into anything.
That is very true. We're going to see, because all roads right now lead to Genesis. So we're going to see if they actually lead to Genesis. Because right now we only got 2 matches so far officially announced. We got Mike Santana. Well, at this point of the episode, we still have Mike Santana versus Frankie. Commentary said something that I scratched my head a little bit. I was like, did we just see? But no. So we have Mike Santana and Frankie Kazarian at Genesis. And then we also have JDC's retirement match, which is against Edwards. So those are the only 2 matches officially announced. Of course, because of last week, we are getting Leon Slater and Cedric Alexander part 2, probably, since Cedric won the 6-man, number 1 contender match. I'm pretty sure we're going to get Liang Li and Dani Luna on that show as well. And basically, yeah, we'll get into it in a little bit, but very good series of promos. And I was just like, let's see how these plot threads lead to Genesis. Okay, let's talk about it.
Fast forward. I mean, what? No, it's...
This was a long segment. I was just like, the crowd booing Tasha, though, I was just like, oh, I love Tasha, but that was the right choice.
Tasha, you gotta just talk over him.
Just do it, girl.
Honey, please, like, you're a heel and you're a wrestler. Know how to cut a promo as a heel wrestler. Just go and say something that will get them to shut up rather than just letting Elijah go like, all right, no, you got 10 seconds. It like, honestly, it reminded me of, what was that? The classic promo off of Cena and Reign, when Cena was just like, it's called a promo, bud. You're going to have to learn how to cut them.
This was, during the United States Championship Open Challenge run. So
it just like,
this was a long segment. So we got like almost a 10-minute concert, which I tuned out at this point. I was
That's
like,
fascinating.
Elijah, I love you. I really, really do. But I tuned out of the concert. Then I will say the visual of them like carrying the podium everywhere apparently is a thing now, which I kind of got a crack out of. I was just like, okay, this is kind of funny. And then I'm like, Tasha, girl, I know we can cut a promo and you could be, I want you, bring back the Boricua Badass Tasha Steelz moniker. That is what I need. Because it's like, because when her and
Yeah.
Kiera Hogan were tag champs like 3 years ago here in this company when we first started TNA, that's the Tasha Steelz I miss.
Yeah, like, see, now she's like all subservient. I don't like that at all. Like, I need her to stage a coup and take over Mustafa Ali's position
That would be hilarious.
because she is better than what she is right now. And I'm just, to me, she just feels weak now. And she used to be like, when she walked into a room, she was like, listen here, bitches. And now it's like, hey, now, y'all need to, now y'all stop. Yeah, you don't know. And I'm like, what happened to you?
It's been a rough year for Tasha. Not even a rough year. I would say it's been a rough 6 months because, like, I legit liked her, leading into Rebellion, where when Mike Santana put her through the table and when Cedric Alexander Lombard checked her later, and she sold the hell out of that. But since then, since Rebellion, even for this whole entire faction of Order 4 has kind of just been
Yeah. So
like the buck stopped after Mike Santana beat Ali at Rebellion this year because I was just like, this is actually a pretty good story. I was enjoying it. And then the faction went downhill. So Aisha gets interrupted by Tasha on the mic with Agent Zero at her side. Ali comes out. Elijah and Ali have a bit of a back and forth, but it felt more one-sided. I was just like, and ambush begins in 3, 2, 1. Elijah gets attacked by the Great Hands. Elijah fights them off. Ali, baits him to fight him on the stage. He grabs Tasha, and I'm just like, oh, if you actually do something to her, not to, and the optics of it, outside of professional wrestling doesn't sound great. But I was just like, equal rights, equal fights, right? But of course, then, as I said to you, Papa, Elijah gets El Kabonged by
Yep.
Ali. And this is how we end this segment with this picture right here.
it was so predictable. I mean, all of it. And I'm so over. I mean, it's like Order 4, come up with a new thing, guys, because we know what you're doing. Every single time you show up, we know what's happening. There's nothing surprising. Nothing surprising happened in this entire segment. And therefore, I was like, this could have been an email or a voicemail for all I care. I mean, just
It could have been a text message.
something I can delete.
Check out Elijah's new song on Spotify. Oh yeah, he got his ass kicked.
Honestly, that is the best way to summarize this whole segment.
Yep.
Now, on the one hand, as annoyed as I am with this whole thing, at least we are building, outside of the championship feud. So it seems Ali and Elijah are going to be fighting for a little bit, which on paper should be fun. I just don't care about how we're building it right now. We got to change some things right now about it.
Yep.
Alrighty, let's keep this show going though. I'm not gonna.
This made me laugh. I'm not gonna lie.
It really did. I actually did laugh at this. I will also admit I learned something because I forgot that Moose never has gotten his rematch for the championship after losing it to Leon Slater. I'm like, oh shit, you're right.
I love Moose sitting here cutting a promo being like, I am gonna get my contractually guaranteed, blah. And then Cedric comes in like a slightly less buff Iffy Nwadi way and going, actually,
I love Iffy, by the way, but I was like,
Iffy's great. Well, that's the joke is slightly less buff than Iffy.
Yeah,
it's fucking huge.
Man. Holy hell. Anyhow,
But yeah, it was like, actually, no, I'm next in line. No, it's cool. You just chill. And then, yeah, no, you'll get your turn. Don't worry.
Cedric Alexander is nephew, and then Moose's uncle. Cedric Alexander is like, listen here, I love you. You the like, I'm next right now, and then you can get your shot afterwards. That is what this gave me. If anyone has watched Soul Food, this is what it's giving me.
Oh my God, that's funny.
I was like, oh man, this was fantastic.
This was a funny segment.
But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Moose has never gotten a rematch against Leon, which on paper I'm excited about because I was like, you know what? I did like their match at Slammiversary. So, but yeah, Cedric Alexander's like, listen here, I'm next, but then you can get it after me. So we're good. This picture is everything though. I was just like, yes, thank you, internet.
It is.
I also love the way that Cedric is also trying to look at Moose, but also look directly at the camera. I love this. This is great. So of course, Moose because again, all this is already pre-taped, so the TNA roster doesn't need to come back for new tapings until January. But so Moose is busy in NXT because he's about to fight All Ego Ethan Page for this North American Championship in 2 weeks. And then we'll we'll just mention it here too. Leon Slater is going to fight Obafemi for the title after winning the number one contenders match this week, which on paper is going to be fun. But I was like, you know damn well that they are not going to let Leon Slater win. However, we talked about it on Tuesday, Papa, where if this inspires it, even if Leon loses, be like, you know what? I could have been an NXT World Champion. And you know what? I feel like I can. If this leads to Leon Slater cashing in option C to get a championship match, whether it is Franklin or Mike Santana, I'm here for it.
Yep.
So what I like, honest, because I was thinking about that earlier, just sort of
Mhm.
like the state of championships like that. Number one, I think it would be really cool if Moose was able to get the title from All Ego Ethan Page and eventually get the X Division. And like, so we have someone on TNA doing the whole, two belts thing.
Right.
The other thing that would be kind of interesting if Leon Slater wins the title against Obafemi as an opportunity to move Obafemi up to the main roster.
Which would be nice.
Because
But
like
yeah.
the timing of it, put it this way, like have Leon Slater win the title off of Obafemi, and then Obafemi becomes one of the surprise entrants in the Rumble.
Which would be really fun. And honestly, I was like, Oba doesn't need this title right now. Again, this is his third title reign. He doesn't need it. But unfortunately, I don't think NXT would allow Moose or Leon to take a title off of one of their talents. And I think we're stuck. And we talked about this on Tuesday, Papa, where I
Mhm.
think the earliest I could see Oba leaving is Vengeance Day, but I think we're stuck with Oba until at least Stand and Deliver, which is in April. Which I was just like, all
Yes.
right, fine. And then meanwhile, Ricky and Javon will be fighting over the next couple ones too, because Ricky cried about not getting his title shot first after Javon cut the line. I was just like, all right, not necessarily my favorite trope in having a feud, but it is what it is. So, but yeah, Cedric and Moose, this was great. We love you both.
So fun.
I'm gonna read you what I wrote, right? So Frankie cuts a promo against Bear Bronson, he's gonna be fighting in 2 weeks for this TNA championship, right? So with your permission, Papa, I'm going to read this
Yeah, go
segment
ahead.
of our text conversation that I wrote about it because this pretty much sums up everything. So I was just like, absolutely not. I was like, go, we need to stop. So this is what I wrote, right? Well, okay. So leading into, so I'm going to preface by saying this part of the conversation starts with the Elijah promo going into this one, right? So starting with you, Papa, you're like, please take Agent Zero out this was when Elijah was walking up the ramp. I was like, that would be amazing. Elisha got El Kabonged. And then you wrote, that was some bullshit. It's like, no, Franklin, no. I mean, this was a Frankie Kazarian program. I was just like, get off my screen. But yeah, writing, oh, hell no. Franklin just called Bear fat and I'm offended. So
Yep.
this won't be we're going to get into it because there was a second all caps message a little bit later when we get to our main event. I'm like, oh, hell no. Oh, man. So again, Frankie versus Bear for the TNA World Championship in 2 weeks. So Bear's probably going to lose, but I'm really hoping this is actually a really good match. And also, unless they have done so already, I need TNA to sign Bear if that's what they want to do. I was like, we got to bolster up these rosters somehow. But we're going to move on from Franklin and his lip fillers.
Ugh.
I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about a steel cage match because TNA's cage matches either range from decent to, oh God, this was horrible. But I'm going to put this on the pretty good side. I was like, okay, I actually really enjoyed this. And I'm gonna keep saying this again. I am biased as hell, but High Rise, Tyson DuPont, and Tyreek Igwe. I was just like, they are the ones that make me not as annoyed on the NXT side.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Agreed.
so when we were told, and now it's time for the main event. I looked at the clock that I was watching the episode. I was like, holy shit, we are almost done. Damn, this
Yeah.
episode flew by quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they decided to start with Kath Buchanan.
Oh, okay. So Jensen,
Did you just get that one, Will?
Just got it.
I had to.
Funny.
I was like, Jensen, the song, the look. I was just like, my God,
Oh.
have we fallen?
The Canadian tuxedo.
And there's the point where he was biting the cage. Did you see that? He's all like, I'm like, what are you?
Like,
Weirdo.
Okay, there is one person in wrestling today that can pull off the Canadian tuxedo, and you, sir, are no Orange Cassidy.
That's fair enough.
Before the match even started, too, because I'm rereading these text messages now, right? And so this is where Matthew Raywall goes off the deep end in his commentary during this match. I was just like, what is happening? And then, Will, this is where you're like, Matthew, shut up. I was just like, Matthew, I love you, but agreed. LOL. I was like, we didn't even start the match. I was like, Matthew Rainwald, what are we doing?
Shut up.
Both Matthew Raywald and Hannafan were on one this episode. We're on one during this match. I was like, boys, what are we doing?
What is
Are we
happening with you?
I was like, I don't know if this was late in the night and they were getting loopy, but I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? So again, we start things off with Brooks Jensen. And, NXT has the man advantage, so they would get their second person in first before TNA. And then when we saw Mike Santana, I was just like, oh, Brooks is dead.
I was like, you're done.
I was just like, NXT about to learn the hard way. So Mike Santana, I love you, though. I was just like, bro, get in this ring, though. We spent like 7 minutes walking around, which I love.
I know.
But I was just like, all right, Mike, get in this ring. And they're just like, he's like, hey, so there's a couple people who have yet to arrive, so stall.
Okay, and let's say that bitch pulled up in a caddy, man. I was like, are you freaking kidding me right now?
Well,
he saw Frankie. He saw Frankie at Final Resolution. He's like, let me show you how it's really done.
That shit was fantastic.
I mean, they're in El Paso. They got to do some Eddie stuff,
Yeah.
So, and that was the other thing, because they kept talking about earlier when they were talking about the thing with Ali and the horse. Like, they kept calling it the lasso from El Paso, and it's like, that was Eddie's finisher. I mean, I know the frog splash and the three amigos are the ones that everybody remembers, but he had that submission move, the lasso from El Paso.
This was crazy. So as soon as Mike Santana comes in and sees Brooks in the ring, I'm like, oh, Brooks is dead. And that's exactly what happened. Brooks was getting his ass handed to him by Mike.
Yeah.
Which then, prompts Lexus King to come in, which is like, I shun thy beard. I was like, God, that beard is so bad. And I was like, Lexus King needs to get off my screen.
Seriously.
So we keep going back, and then I was just like, Macklin, I love you, but I was just like, we wore a whole entire t-shirt. I was like, what is happening?
Does Macklin know he's cosplaying a lesbian necromancer?
That's what I was going to say. I was just like...
That's like, okay, I know he's going for, like, I know there's a fine line between Call of Duty and Gideon the Ninth, but like, bud.
Macklin's face paint was not it, and I was just like, we've seen you do the face paint before. This is not one of the better jobs. It felt like he was like, oh, crap, I'm on next, and you just finish it in 5 minutes. I love that, though, lesbian. So...
That's, like, that is one of those face paint jobs that, like, I know there were plenty of people, especially, like, the military guys, like, oh, it's Call of Duty. It's like, that's the exact same face paint as Gideon the Ninth.
Right. So we keep going back and forth, right? At one point, NXT tries to cheat because, Jeffrey Hardy ends up getting into the ring. Then we have, Tyson come out. Matt comes out next, but Tyreek is just like slams his man into the steel chair, the steps. And I was just like, that bump was gnarly to look at. I was like, oh, Matthew's dead. Matthew died. And then the Righteous come out and just straight up kidnap him in the middle of fight.
Matt Hardy has died of dissing Tyreek.
I was just like, what the hell is happening? So Matthew gets kidnapped by the Righteous. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought we weren't gonna see anything until next week, but then we got a post-credit scene at the end
we got a stinger. This is straight up MCU stuff now.
I was just like, okay, I'm kind of digging this. So, and then of course, this is where Santino gets involved, and then all members are in the ring except for Matthew. But the match can finally begin. Everybody starts whooping ass. And then it is ultimately, so Team TNA stands tall in the cage match. Everybody is celebrating. Everybody walks out of the ring. I was very surprised that Jeffrey didn't run to go try to find his brother, but hey, you know what? It's okay. He's like, Matt's fine. We'll be okay. Honestly, Jeff is like, this is the least craziest thing that has ever happened to us in our careers. He'll be fine.
Like, happens every Friday, guys.
Honestly, that's the amount of times they have been kidnapped or gone into some crazy realms. Like, they're like, this is a normal Thursday for us. But let's get into it.
Matt Hardy's just a planeswalker at this point.
He really be traveling like that. I'm just going to let this picture sit here and then y'all can talk about it.
It was
I'm
funny.
proud of myself for this one.
It was funny because I was like, oh, okay. And then because I think I sent you a message because I was like, hey, oh, wait, what's about to happen here? Because
let's read this exchange, shall we?
I saw her do the thing with the gate.
Let's read this exchange, right? So you're like, that was crazy, exclamation point. I'm also starting to feel something I haven't felt in a while. Oh, then, TNA wins. Fuck yeah. And you're like, then we talked about the Righteous kidnapping Matt. So that was fun. And you're like, what is Ariana up to? I'm like, oh, damn. I have a feeling this moment happens. You say, oh, shit. And I'm like, and there it is. And I'm like, I'm kind of here for it. And then Santana's trying to open the cage regularly. I'm like, Michael Santana, climb over this cage.
Climb over, I know.
And then you see Steve Macklin like climb up this thing like a spider monkey and just jumping in the ring. I was just like, what is happening? And then this is where you pointed out, Papa, you're like, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of liking this new Ariana. I'm like, better than Tuesday. And then this is where Ariana exits the ring and she talks shit to Mike Santana. I'm like, oh, hell no. She called Mike Santana a deadbeat dad. Oh, fuck, it's going down. And then I didn't include a picture, but then Ariana and Stax go up the ramp and they make out. I was like, ew.
I'm glad you didn't show a picture of because it was gross.
I saw tongue and I was like, oh, okay.
There was, I'm an actor. I have to sort of point out the acting things. Ariana, commit to an emotion. Please commit to it. Like, if you're like, because like, she's walking back up the thing and like the expression on her face is reading like, I really just kicked my dad in the balls. Oh no. Oh, why did I do that kind of thing? It's like she looked distraught over it and then like gets back to the top of the ramp, makes out with Stax for a minute. It's like, oh yeah, nope, I'm still a badass. It's like, yeah, whatever. I'm asking too much of for the theatricality of professional wrestling, I guess.
In all honesty, though, we've talked about this all year round. I feel like the rest of the promotions need to invest in actual like acting classes and, speech classes and all sorts of stuff.
Public speaking classes.
For real.
Which, come to think of it, that's probably one of the reasons that Cody Rhodes is still like kind of halfway decent in WWE. Because isn't that what like, because Dusty sent him to like acting school
for all the crazy.
Instead, it's like, don't get into this wrestling thing. Go wherever else you want. It's like, yeah, okay, send me to acting school. Like, done. Take it, like, enjoy your acting classes, and then he gets into wrestling anyway.
Off topic. Yeah. Those pictures that came out for the Street Fighter movie look god awful, but I am here for the camp.
They do. Yeah,
they're awful, but I'm here for it, especially Cody Rhodes and that fucking hair that he has for guy. But I am here for the camp. Everyone's just like, this is garbage. I'm like, it is garbage. But am my ass gonna be in that seat when opening weekend? Yes, because I'm here for the camp. It's Street Fighter, you guys. It's over the top characters in general. What'd you expect? And I said this on other shows, but I'm going to say this here too. I was like, whoever was just like, you have to be a wrestling fan because, Roman and Cody, like WWE is very mainstream, right? But for the fact that you get Hiroki Goto, New Japan wrestling star in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is a big promotion in Japan anyways, but like, it's not like mainstream. Like, and then I was like, okay, it's not over yet. But I was like, wait a minute. We still got like 3 minutes. What's about to happen?
Yeah.
We get a stinger, y'all. We get a post-credit scene. I was just like, okay, TNA is actually kind of doing some great stuff, right? This shit right here was so much fun. I was just like, I'm here for Colt.
It was so funny.
Like, I'm wondering, like, I'm sitting here going like, they got to be trying to bring back Broken Matt. This is going to be the next chapter of the Broken Matt Hardy saga.
I'm telling you right now, even though they haven't made it official because of what we're doing, I was like, oh, absolutely, we're probably getting the Hardys versus the Righteous at Genesis. But I was just like, are we going to get the Hardys? Are we going to get Brother Nero and Broken Matt Hardy? That is the question. Regardless, I'm jealous that Will gets to witness either version of it live because he is going to Genesis. Woo! You and Michael are going to Genesis. So I'm excited to take your hubby for the second time around. Be like, okay, this is what has happened since last year you came.
I was like, yay.
He's not going to say no to, and I love it.
He has a good time. He doesn't like to admit that he has a good time.
No, I know. I have come to know that about Michael. But no, this post-credit scene, as I call it, I was just like, I am here for this. I'm here for the cult stuff.
This is great. I loved it.
More of this, TNA, please. More of this.
Yeah.
Now, can we bring back the Undead Realm with Rosemary? Because I also miss the Undead Realm. Speaking of which, Rosemary is going after the inspiration for some reason. I was like, he hit the good. Again, as silly as this was, I really enjoyed this because I was like, TNA, I need you to do more of this. Like, just play around with the world and the characters that you got on this roster right now. Even if this, you're like, honestly, it makes it fun.
We've talked about it on the podcast before. Like the doing stuff like this, that's, reminiscent of Lucha Underground back in the day was like, it's awesome. Do more.
Seriously. So again, I'm pretty sure we're setting up the Hardys and the Righteous for Genesis. And I, for one, am excited. Now, after Genesis or before, I would like to start TNA rolling out this. It's like this person has re-signed or TNA has signed this person XW. I'm really wanting to see the Righteous get signed and I want to see Bear get signed too. But again, you know what? If they want to stay on the independents for a little bit while, that's okay too because I support them either way. But I've been enjoying Bear and the Righteous's run so far in TNA of what we've seen. So this should be fun. But that is it for the TNA review. And this is the final one of 2025. So we will be back after the 2-week break to, talk about. So, guys, I don't want to alarm anyone, but the next time we're back for TNA, we will be reviewing the TNA episode that happens on January 1st. So, January 2nd, we'll be talking about Bear's championship match against Franklin. Then we get another episode, but we are so close because, guys, guess what? On January 15th, our favorite type of TNA episode is back. The live TNA episode with.
Although that means they're going to be on AMC, right? So that means maybe we'll just get ads instead of, dead air overhead shots.
So, I think if I read correctly, the episodes will also still be available on TNA Plus too. But again, we'll see how that all transpires. But I was like, I'm still getting it because, listen, $200 is a lot of money, but that means we get all the pay-per-views. So I don't have to buy them individually. So I'm like, I'm good. I'm willing to pay $200. That means we get all 12 TNA pay-per-views as well as their vault and all the episodes after they air live on TV too. So I'm here for it. But that is going to be it for us here. And honestly, you guys, this is it. This is the final review of the week. But we still got one more thing coming down the pipeline this Sunday. Sunday is the Chaos Gremlin episode, as I call it. It is the end of the year podcast where I will be hanging out with our new podcasting friends, talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of professional wrestling. It is going to be a clusterfuck, but I am here for it. Because I'm not going to lie, because last year I was not prepared for everybody to actually be there. So we are going to, so it is BC Wrestle Pod colliding with the Nick Happy Hour Wrestling Podcast and the If We Had the Pencil podcast. So shout out to Nick and his wife, Nikki, who run their podcast, who will be joining us. And then Sean and Matt over at the If We Had the Pencil podcast will also be joining us Sunday night. It's going to be a 2 hours clusterfuck of craziness. So that's going to be nuts. We're going to have guests come on. It is the most ambitious show of the year, and I am preparing for it right now as we speak. So it's a good time. But once again, we will be back in 2 weeks to be reviewing, the penultimate episode of TNA as we get ready for Genesis coming up here in about 5 weeks. That's crazy that Genesis, our first pay-per-view, is in 5 weeks. But yeah, I would like to personally thank both of my Wills here, as well as our other co-host, JT, whose work schedule is being a bitch and not letting him be on here as frequent, but it is what it is. How dare you? But honestly, it has been a really fun year, boys. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to having y'all be here for 2026 because TNA, all right, we're going to see what the momentum is like going into 2026. But that's going to be it for us here tonight. So from all of us here at BC Wrestle Pod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you in the new year, and we will see you Sunday for our final episode of 2025. But until then, and until next time, peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.